Bull riding has been called America's original extreme sport.
PBR is one of the best kept secrets in America.
Well, it's not too big a secret. There's 80 million fans.
People think you have to tie the bull's genitals to make them buck. Now, Dr. Phil, if anyone were to do that to you, would you be able to stand?
Well, I sure wouldn't buck. Put on your cowboy boots because we are riding straight into our new partnership with Professional Bull Riders Organization. And when I look at PBR, I say these are our people. I feel that the men and women bull rider contractors and really the fans represent the absolute heart and soul of America. I knew their values would align perfectly with Merit Street Media's. So starting this week, you can tune in to the grit, the athleticism, and the exhilaration of professional bull riding competitions right here. Bull riding has been called America's original extreme sport. The most nail-biting 8 seconds an athlete can experience. And fans, well, they just can't get enough. Yeah, it takes courage and toughness to make it in the PBR. And tonight I'm going to introduce you to some of the best athletes in the business who have their own inspirational stories.
JB Mooney, professional bull rider, two-time world champion. The first guy and last guy to ever ride all 8 bulls at the PBR World Finals. I made 15 PBR World Finals in a row.
I'm Dalen Swearingen. I was the world champion in 2022. I've been at the top of every level so far. I won a college national championship, been to the Wrangler NFR.
I'm Cody Jesus, 25 years old. I'm a professional bull rider. I've been with the PBR for 7 years now and made it to the PBR finals 5 times.
Well, each one of these cowboys represents a tradition of hard work, family, and merit. Now, we're going to pull the curtain back and tell their incredible stories later. But first, Morning on Merit Street's anchor, Fanchon Stinger, says the business of bulls is not just for men. She says besides the allure of these rugged cowboys, there are many women working behind the scenes, and she's one of them.
I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. During the summers, we would travel to Mississippi, and we would spend a lot of time on my grandfather's ranch. We would oftentimes go to rodeos, and I would enjoy all the other events, but when it got to bull riding, man, I would come alive. I think part of that initial fascination was that I always loved animals. And I got a chance to see how the animals were cared for, how well they were treated, and just the sheer athleticism of those bulls really fascinated me and pulled me in. When I started learning that, hey, you can invest in a bull and own a bull and name your bull and be part of this bull's life and career, I was immediately, that was my goal. Stinger and Little Hot. I became their bull mom in December 2021.
Love you, boys.
If you're born a bucking bull, you've hit the jackpot of life. Why? Because a bucking bull will never end up on a dinner plate, and a bucking bull will never go to slaughter. So for anyone to question the humanity of this sport, I really take that very seriously, because if there was an example of the best way to care for and treat animals, you're looking at it with the PBR. I believe that some snot-slinging bulls could be the answer to a divided America, because this sport is an example of how powerful it can be when you come around what's good, what's right, what's true, the foundational values of this country, and blend and unify around something that represents what everyone can get around. Family-friendly fun, entertainment, gritting it out, and competing and excelling at the highest levels. Who's not for that?
Well, when we first met, I had no idea you were a bull mom.
Bull mom, PBR fan. I am just this moment right now to sit here, Dr. Phil, and be able to talk to you about a love that I've had since I was a teenage girl means everything to me. I feel like PBR is one of the best kept secrets in America because it brings us back to the foundation of who we are as a unified country.
Well, it's not too big a secret. There's 80 million fans into professional bull riding.
Yes, it's huge. 80 million fans, and more than 43% of that fan base is female.
Really?
Yes. And I think that that is fascinating, and I think it's something that should be celebrated. A lot of people say, well, why are women involved, or why do women love PBR? It's something that we as women can really wrap our minds around, our heart around, because you have to have grit, ladies, to get through life. You have to be able to bounce back when you get disappointed, when your heart gets broken, when you go through bad things. When we watch those bull riders get on top of those beautiful, majestic bulls, and they have to grit it out sometimes to fight to get back up, to get back on, we can relate to that. It is a beautiful metaphor for life.
Yeah, some of it's the hats and buckles, too.
Well, that's not a bad piece of it either.
If somebody's thinking like, I have no interest in this whatsoever, never heard of it, haven't watched it, why should somebody get interested in this?
It is probably the most intense, electrifying, motivating entertainment that you will experience in your life. And I do not say that lightly. If you don't know anything about bull riding, if you don't even like animals, well, first of all, if you love animals, you should be an automatic PBR fan, because the level of care that PBR bulls get is second to none. It's rock and roll, it's dance music, it's pyro, it's fireworks, it's adrenaline, nonstop, from start to finish. And I always say, and our PBR commissioner always says, we challenge you to come to a PBR event and not become a fan. There's nothing like it.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And and when we say, I mean, whoa. And I've been down around these bulls.
Yes,
and
you have.
These are serious animals. They weigh like 1,600 pounds.
1,600 to 2,000 pounds. They are super athletes. These bucking bulls are not just majestic, but they are what you would call a Super Bowl athlete. They love what they do. They're smart. Sometimes they can get down and dirty. Other bulls are very gentle and kind. They're like pets, but they are worth everything to those of us who love the bulls. The bull riders love the bulls. The stock contractors love the bulls. Fans love the bulls. You know, there's a very unfortunate and nasty piece of misinformation around this sport that I have been an advocate for making sure that we help dispel. There are a lot of people, and you've heard this myth, that they think you have to tie the bull's genitals to make them buck. Now, Dr. Phil, I ask any man standing in here, if anyone were to do that to you, would you be able to stand? No.
Well, I sure wouldn't buck. I'd be tiptoeing out of the crowd.
And a bull would not be able to perform at the athletic level that they do. That's what you call animal abuse. You cannot make a bucking bull buck. They are bred to buck. It's what they are born to do. Like racehorses are bred to race, bucking bulls are bred to buck. And they are some of the most majestic animal athletes you will ever see.
What's the most nail-biting moment you've ever had?
The first time I saw my stinger buck, I was a nervous bull mom wreck, because I just wanted him to be safe. I wanted the bull rider to be safe, and I was just so grateful to be able to be in that moment of realizing a dream. The second time, I would say, was just a few weeks ago, when the #1 bull rider, Casio Diaz, was around before the final round, and he got bucked off. He got hung up on the bull, and he was injured. And in that arena, one thing you'll learn about bull riding fans is we all come around. Bull riding's core values are faith, family, and freedom. So to see that entire arena praying for him, when they were working on him, we have the best medical experts in the business, in sports. There was a question of whether or not he'd be able to come back to compete for the title. And I think a lot of people watching that night, we were all gasping and praying, because that young man has fought so hard this year, and you just wanted him to be able to finish the fight.
Yeah, and he did.
And he did, and he did it in grand fashion.
Yes, he did.
I did not set out to be a PBR stock contractor. I've had a lot of different jobs. I've been everything from a ballet instructor to a banker to an activities director at a retirement community. I've been a radio DJ. I've been an innkeeper.
Buck him.
About 7 years ago, we bought our very first bull. He won Bull of the Year, and we were like, yay, this is really easy. Let's do it again. So we bought another bull, and he won.
Woo! Good job, Cowboy!
Now we have over 200 head of mama cows and right at 100 bulls. Cool Whip, my baby boy. He and I won world championship together as a 2-year-old. When he turned 6, he became the bull to buck off the very most bull riders in the history of keeping track. He loves scratches. He loves children. He's gentle. He's just this bigger-than-life personality. I talk to my bulls before they buck, and I'll take his cheeks in my hands and just tell him I expect you to do your best.
It is a buck off.
Bull bucking has impacted my life in ways that I would have never imagined. It pulled out of me a completely different level of compassion for another living being. I didn't know that was in there. When you're 50 years old and you completely change directions to do something completely different than you've ever done before, it's exhilarating. Give yourself permission to really get out there and try something new, and it's very empowering.
Well, Stacy, welcome.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
So why, at 50 years old, did you decide, okay, I'm going to get into the bull business?
We kind of fell into it. We had racehorses and sold those. They quit winning and sat still for about 10 minutes and decided that we wanted to do something else. So we bought one bucking bull from a partner, and he won. And I thought, wow, this is really easy.
Yeah.
So we bought another one, and he won. And I went, this is super easy.
Yeah, well, the first one you bought won the national championship.
The second one, it was Cool Whip, who is...
Well, I've met Cool Whip.
Yeah. Cool Whip is a very special boy. This is his flank rope that he and I won together when he was 2 years old, and I've actually retired this. It sits at home on a very special spot, and if I need a little extra juju going into a competition, I go rub it.
Yeah.
And Dr. Phil, Stacy is the epitome of the love between a bull owner, a stock contractor, and those beautiful animals. I mean, they become like your children, and we see that in how Stacy talks to her bulls and the level of care.
Yeah. So how would one train a bull that's never done this?
Well, they start when they're a year old, and we bring them up the alleyway, then they turn into the bucking chute. We take a broom from the kitchen, we broom the back, because they've never been touched. They've never been handled except by their mother or their friends out in the pasture, and we want them to know that it's okay, that it's safe. I play classical music, and I begin my conversation with them when they are a year old. Then we swing that gate open, and we've built panels, and they learn to exit. So when you see a bull buck and they exit, that's because they've been trained to do that, just repetition, repetition. And then they get a dummy, which is about the size of a car battery when they're 1 year old. They don't get a rider on their back until they're 3 because their muscles and joints aren't ready, bones aren't strong enough yet.
Yeah, so what do you mean you start talking to them?
You have to talk to your bulls.
So how are you chatting them up?
I set the expectation when they're in that chute the very first time and they're kind of freaking out and looking around. I say, look out the slat. Pick your spot in the dirt. That's where your feet are going to land. Pay attention to what you're doing. I believe in you. I love you. No matter what you do, I love you. That's the last thing I say when they leave.
Stacy, tell the story about Cool Whip when there was a time he was in the chute.
Oh my gosh.
And he sat down and you actually started talking
So
to
we're at finals, 2-year-old finals, his very last out, and we have to do fabulous to win. So I flank him, which is when you use the flank rope, tie up those back fleshy parts of his back legs, and he lays down. He's never done this, lays down in the chute. So there's the dummy man who's hung the dummies, and I run around to the front of his head, and I leaned over and I said, Cool Whip, what are you doing? We have worked all year long for this. Get up, it's time to work. And he stood up and I went, buck him, and he bucked so good and we won. It was awesome.
So tell me about the women in PBR.
The women in PBR, there's not a whole lot of us, but we're a tight-knit group. We support each other. We've earned our right to be there. We flank, and we just do our job. I think I may be the only stock contractor in America that breaks down film with my bull. After he bucks, I go out to the ranch.
I love it.
And I show the video of what they did, and I say, you did this good, let's do a little bit better. Sometimes they walk up and look at the video. Sometimes they ignore me, but I know I did my part.
Yeah, they're not talking back to you.
They're They aren't talking back, but I do have to tell you this. We had a bull on the ranch who was really, really just a precious boy, and he hurt his back. And when he fell to the ground, I didn't know if he would be able to get back up again. He doesn't buck anymore, but he breeds. And I'm on the phone with the vet, and she said, "Is he okay?" And I said, "I don't know." She said, "Look in his eyes. Is he okay?" And I said, "He'll be fine." So they don't speak words, but they speak.
Can feel you.
Yeah. If you hear them talking back to you, you want
Call you?
You want to call me?
I will.
And don't do it in front of anybody
No.
else. Just call me.